Next question. What ideas, what are your ideas for the parent's role in an academic environment? So Amy, what are your thoughts?
So I won't lie, I am actually I'm pretty passionate about this topic. And so I firmly believe that parents and teachers are on the same team in supporting the student. And I also believe that parents absolutely have a critical role in an academic environment. Again, I think this is one of those questions that the outward expression of the parent's role in schooling does depend on the particular family dynamic. But as I was jotting down some thoughts, I have a couple of my own thoughts on what I think, and there's many, many more, but just a couple of things that I think are a parent's role is first, whether parents can and do volunteer physically within a school, they actually have a really awesome opportunity to support their student emotionally in the academic world. So this, I think, can be something as simple as asking open-ended questions about anything and everything under the sun. Teachers, friends, homework, what they learned, what did they have for lunch? If they're in elementary school, how was recess? Asking the tough questions about what our COVID education situation is going to look like. Hey, how was it wearing your mask today? What did you do when you were struggling with that? What was hard? How did you handle it? And then after asking questions, parents can just listen. And then they can validate whatever feelings and experiences kiddos are having. And secondly, volunteering your time. And I do know that, again, this is going to look very different. I think when we think of volunteering time, we think of, being in the classroom, being the room mom, serving on a PTA or PTO. But I also think volunteering your time can look like donating supplies if you're able to, asking clarifying questions about anything you're not quite sure you understand of your student and of the teacher. And even if you do nothing else but respond to a teacher when he or she is communicating with you, whether it's a phone call or a note home or an email, anytime that you take an active interest, you're volunteering your time and you're supporting and you're utilizing your role. Another thing that I think parents can do for academic situations and environments is, and especially right now, is to be a good role model for your kiddos in how you react and respond to what's going on. And that might be something like Kate had mentioned earlier, where maybe parents are helping their kids learn to deal with the mask on all the time. I mean, the few times that we have gone out and I have had to take my kids to the store, we wear a mask and it's been an adjustment for them. So we've spent a lot of time actually talking about what is that going to look like? Let's plan our masks. Let's get you involved in this. And also, I believe that part of that good role model is helping our kiddos understand that they really can do hard things, regardless of what it is, and that they can work through tough situations, whether it's wearing a mask, whether it's not being able to hug their friends, whether it's whatever class assignments or seating assignments. I mean, this is going to be a very, very different year for everybody. And our kids are resilient and they're tough and they're strong, and we can help them by having positive reactions ourselves. And then finally, read. I mean, if you read with your kid and you encourage them to read, I don't care. I used to tell my students, I don't care if it's the back of the cereal box or if it's the menu at McDonald's. If you're reading, keep reading and read. And I think there's going to be a lot of parents that either can't volunteer this year because of CDC COVID restrictions within their school or because of their individual family circumstances. But if you can help your kid read and encourage it, maybe, get them a library card, thriftbooks.com, you can get super cheap books, go to, Facebook Marketplace, whatever, read. I think those are probably just a few things that parents can do to be involved academically with their kiddos.
Really good suggestions.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
I gotta say that. That's awesome. No, could I add to that too?
Of course you can.
I think those are fantastic. At my school,
And I teach in a dual immersion program, and we have very, very invested parents, and we have a lot of volunteers. Unfortunately, this year, because of COVID, we can't have any volunteers. So I would recommend for parents who have the time to consider working as a substitute, because I think that's one of my biggest concerns right now is if I get sick or if any of my colleagues get sick, who's going to take our class? We had a shortage of substitutes for years. And so I know anytime, there have been several times where I've been sick or I've had to go to a district training or something where I've put in the system for a sub and no one ever shows up. And as a consequence, our poor office staff is scrambling to find a substitute, all while the teachers who are there have to farm out the kids. And I take 5 from this class. My teacher across the hall takes 5, and we just have to split them up, or we get one of our aides to come and substitute for the class while the secretary is trying to find a sub, and it takes like all of the morning long to do it. It's really aggravating, and for those poor aides that are substituting, they don't get a substitute rate. They're still paid what they're paid as an aide, and that's not fair because it's significantly less than a substitute, and they're given they're not given what they need to fill this position that they really aren't volunteering to do anyway. So anyway, to add to that, I would say parents, please consider substituting for your district if you can.
So do you have recommendations on how they'd find out how to go about becoming a substitute teacher?
Yeah, you do need to go through your district office, give them a call. There's a substitution. There's got to be a sub office that you can go through. You do need to get a background check, so go get your fingers printed because we want to make sure that our kids are safe. But I think that would just be so helpful and a great relief to teachers and to secretarial staff and to the kids.
On a related note, I heard that my school district, Alpine School District, is anticipating a really severe shortage of subs available for this year. So it's a really a known great need.
Yeah, they said they needed about 800 subs in Alpine District. It's pretty ridiculous. So,
right. Amy, it looks like you have more to add, and then we'll hear from Danae.
Just 2 things. One, I do know that a lot of school districts go through Kelly Services for subs. Provo School District has in the past. I'm not sure if they currently do, and Nebo School District does. So that is another place to look. But again, like with the nursing shortage, I think this is an opportunity for us to think outside the box and how do we get subs that are willing to do background checks from, maybe businesses can say, hey, you know what? If there's a school that wants to partner with us, like I'll have my employees, because a lot of employees do that anyways for a lot of jobs. Hey, why doesn't this, why don't we send someone to sub once a week if need be? Or again, I think we have a really good draw from our education and training programs at UVU and BYU and Logan State and Utah. We've got, SUU, we've got all these universities with teaching programs. I think this is an opportunity to utilize and think outside that box and give them some real world experience as well without making it strenuous for the 10 to 800 subs that there are.
That's a good suggestion. The company, sorry. I was just going to say that
Amy needs to go to the Alpine School District and run that idea by him. That we have lots and lots of partnerships, but none of them are doing subbing. But that's actually a really good idea, because I know in a lot of companies they do send their employees out to work, like they'll go work at food bank or something. I just wanted to add one thing really quick. Just because I've taught in a school that had a low socioeconomic school, that just because parents can't come in to work in the school, it doesn't, all the parents love their kids. Sometimes you'll never see a parent, but I always know, I'm always like, they still love their kids, whether they're working in the school or not. And it's a good thing to remember. It's not just those kids, those moms and those dads that have the time, those other families, they it's really important to let the kids know that, you know, that they care about them too. So.
Sorry, but here, yes. Sorry. I think that's so important. And now I'll mute myself again.
Yeah, very true. So especially speaking of the low socioeconomic status, you know, some of those parents, they are working 3 jobs to try and keep a roof over their head because they do care about those kids. And I'm so glad you brought that up. So next question. All right. How should school expectations be modified in the time of COVID? Tori, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
I personally feel really that children should be outdoors and moving a lot more than the public school system currently allows them. And I know that is not teachers' fault. A lot of it is legislation and things that you have to do to fit in with whatever they want. But I feel like COVID, one of the silver linings is we could use it as a way to get our children outside more, because the dangers, I feel like most parents are a little bit more relaxed about their children being outside. And so if we could relax some of those requirements that are stressing children and teachers out and allow them to like re-engage with the joy of learning, often outside, doing more experiential learning, I think that would be fantastic. The legislators would just use this as a chance to back off. I don't know how to make that happen, because I almost feel like it's making them more like more crazy. I have a friend I was talking to who lives in Kentucky, and she said her principal, when she discussed like what they were doing, the principal said, we're buying tents, we're training teachers in outdoor learning, and they're getting more recess. And I was like, that is so fantastic, because that's one reason my children are not in school, is because I feel so passionately that they need to be outside a lot. So if we could somehow incorporate that, but I think in order to do so, we have to change. I think someone said this in one of our previous discussions, like the legislatures need to become partners. I think that might have been Danae. Someone tell me who said that. Anyway, I thought it was fantastic, where the legislatures need to become not babysitters for the teachers, but teachers are fantastic. They have the ideas, they have the tools. We just need to let them teach in the way that they know, because they know the children in the classroom. So if we could just take the time to back off, especially if we do have to go back to digital learning, like it was not working for most people. If we could just realize, like someone earlier, maybe Catherine said, like she had 30 minutes. I can do my school with my children in an hour, and like I feel like that is sufficient for their needs. And so if we just can start realizing, especially if we do digital learning, that if you do an hour and then you can go do experiential learning, that somehow reflects what you were doing at home. Like you can do math outside, you can do writing outside, you can do art outside, you can take a traditional lesson, or you can make a whole new lesson, depending on like how much prep you want to make into it. But I just feel like there are so many opportunities if we allow the teachers to have those opportunities.
Nicely said. Okay.
Can I just comment as well? I know there's probably several hands raised, but I really like that comment, Tori, because also living internationally, I know that our school systems are really great, but it's nice to be able to see that continue to grow and change and adjust as we become more of a developed country and we can learn from other countries. And I know that that relationship between government and the responsibility for education, and then like you guys were saying, partnering better with legislators and even on the federal level, this is an opportunity to kind of find out more and see what kinds of things work better. And as much as it is so scary and all of this responsibility is kind of being pushed, I like that silver lining. And even as parents, we get a chance to test things out and see how our children do better, or what kinds of things might help them thrive.